Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we're back with another Total War Warhammer video. So Creative Assembly have dropped a new blog post, this time focusing around one of the new legendary lords for Kislev, Kostaltyn. And they were kind enough to share the blog post prior to it going live, which helps me immensely to be able to analyze it. So we're going to do that in this video. Now keep in mind that what we're seeing here is completely new lore, so there might be a lot to discuss. Let's begin with the first two paragraphs. Welcome back to TotalWar.com, where today we're talking Kislev and their faith, plus the man at the top. He's the man of the people, the enemy of chaos, and supreme patriarch of the cult of Ursun, and the leader of the Great Orthodoxy, Kostaltyn. As a legendary lord of Kislev, he stands opposite, but in begrudging allegiance with Tsarina Catherine, as these mighty champions stand against the incoming tide of chaos. There is a spelling mistake there with Catherine, but let's move on. Kostaltyn is a force of nature, a demagogue who knows without a shadow of a doubt that the only thing that stands between his people and annihilation is faith. A bright reflection of the dark sorcerers and champions of chaos, he sees the land around him and Ursun as what he must protect and serve. To an outsider, he may seem wild and near unhinged, but to his followers, he is an invulnerable battle priest, capable of recovering from any wound and felling any foe. Okay, so we can start off right here. So I guess I was right when I came to my speculation about him. He is a battle priest. So this more or less means he's just Kislevite Volkmar the Grim. I'm not too sure what I think of this because, well, I get it, you know, these types of religious faiths in Warhammer do have a lot of battle priests. But it just looks like they're just changing Volkmar around. I don't know, maybe they're going to try something a little bit different and we still need to go through the rest of the article. As I'm actually recording this video is the first time I'm reading the article itself. Also keep in mind, to those who are aware of Kislevite lore, a lot of stuff is changing with Kislev in Warhammer 3. This is following more in line with what we'll eventually see with Old World rather than old school Warhammer fantasy battles. But let's move on to the next section. We asked Total War Warhammer 3's principal writer Andy Hall if he's willing to share some more secrets about this new legendary lord, to which Andy replies, "Of course, the first thing is not to underestimate him, as many of his foes have in the past. He may have a more humble aspect than other legendary lords with their magnificent armor and bulging muscles, but the thing about Kostaltyn is that he just will not die. He's far too stubborn to merely succumb to his wounds when there are heretics to slay. The assumption might be that this is no melee lord, but if you place him in the heat of battle surrounded by units of loyal Kislevites, he can buff into a religious frenzy. That's going to give the enemy quite a problem." Okay, let's talk about this then. So he's a melee character that focuses around buffing. So again, Volkmar the Grim, just Kislevite. Though he might just be very powerful in melee combat, not just used for buffing, because, well, there's the whole thing about him not dying. I don't know how that is going to be implemented in game, cause, well, you know, just a bunch of handgunners and normally anything is dead, but let's see what they come up with. Possibly some sort of invulnerability trait if he gets too low, a little bit of a buff that will come into effect for maybe 10-15 seconds. Or they'll just go with something generic and just give him regeneration, which kinda seems possible. The next passage has some actual lore here from an unknown Corsair. "You might call him a mad old man, and maybe he is, but I saw him lead the charge at the Oberlin Citadel to drive out the Beastmen." Hey, Creative Assembly, remember what Beastmen are? Sorry, let's carry on. "He took a sword to the guts and another to the thigh. It just made him more dangerous, his mace crushing skulls with every swipe. And his followers, by Daza's fire, they surged behind him in a howling wave, desperate to fight beside him, desperate for a mere hint of his approval. That fervor, that devotion, that's real power right there." Alright, so the lore is making him seem quite powerful. The fact that he can take a literal sword to the guts and still be fine, yet also lead a charge at the same time. This character is either going to have a rather tasty ward save or very, very high rate of replenishment. I must say I'm really curious now, and I really want to see how he plays. This is a character we've not had access to, and I don't know. They're going to make him really powerful, it seems, or he's just going to have some quirks that will make him powerful. Let's move on. As part of the creative process, how did Kostaltyn come about? While we've certainly fleshed him out, Kostaltyn was part of a massive trove of fantastic concepts and material that Games Workshop created for us and their new iteration of Kislev. We've worked in close collaboration, as we always do, to bring these concepts to life. The great thing is, the trove is far from exhausted. Okay, like I said before, Kislev was redone by Games Workshop. A lot of people think that these concepts are being done by Creative Assembly for some reason. Though it's an interesting choice of words, the trove is far from exhausted. That either means that we've yet to see everything, or that they might have a lot more planned. Considering that Kislev is one of the base game races, it's likely that they have a bunch planned for DLC in the future, and this would make sense. Though so far we've seen 2 characters which seem to be Gospodars, so hopefully if future DLC does get implemented for Kislev, we'll start seeing some Ungles too. But let's move on. You've already hinted that Kostaltyn doesn't get along with his fellow legendary lord, the Ice Queen. Can you tell us why? To talk about that, we should quickly cover what the Great Orthodoxy is, as it's a new and exciting part of the lore driving the schism that is rocking Kislev. The Great Orthodoxy was founded by Catherine's father, Tsar Boris Borka. As he was reuniting Kislev, before the Orthodoxy, the cults to the Kislevite gods were widely divergent, often using rites steep in the woods or on solitary hills of the oblast conducted by hags, witches, and other undesirables that the modern patriarchs would declare heathen. Okay, let's just stop right here 1 second. Hags were mentioned, and that's really important. Hags form the basis of the Ungol faith, and they're being declared heathen. That's very strange to me. Does that mean that hags are now considered outlawed within Kislev? This worries me a little bit, as of course the older lore was based on Ungols and Gospodars, 2 different races within Kislev, and now it's seeming to be otherwise? We'll have to wait and see, but until then, let's just continue. The Tsar had a valid concern that such rituals could be subsumed by the dark powers, and so the Orthodoxy was formed to effectively codify religion. Note that the cults to the gods, such as the cult of Ursun, remain active, but must do so under the strict oversight of the Orthodoxy. Okay, weird. Very strange lore, as obviously this was never the case in old school Kislev. Let's continue a little bit more. The Great Orthodoxy is still only a generation old, but is growing stronger and more powerful. As you would expect, many still cling to the old ways and utterly reject decentralization, while others have learned to work within the strictures and are able to wield the Orthodoxy's might to their own end. Kostaltyn is certainly the latter, yet Catherine is seen by many as being of older times, in the mold of the ancient Khan Queens, and so to pin their support to her banner, further fanning Kostaltyn's hatred, and she's a magic user and therefore a heretic. Alright, so there's some good news there that people do keep to the old ways, but this church seems kinda fanatical. I don't know if I'm too keen about these law changes, if I can be completely honest. It seems a bit too much like a Spanish Inquisition in a type of sense. I don't know, it just seems a bit odd. We'll have to wait and see as more is progressed and more is shown off, but from a purely lore perspective and a Warhammer Fantasy fan for so many years, it seems a bit too out there for Kislev. The changes might be good, but there's a few changes which I'm not too keen on, I'll just be very honest about that. But let's move on to the next section. No doubt they can sit down and work it out. No reason for things to get out of hand in Total War Warhammer 3. Was he cool to write for? Absolutely, you get to really turn on the fire and brimstone tap, write heretic a lot. Volkmar has nothing on him in comparison, but the Supreme Patriarch is also quite the enigma. He's in charge of one of the richest organizations in the old world, but looks like a bedraggled wretch. We enjoyed playing around with that. His voice actor has put in an amazing performance. Lots of spitting into the mic as he screams out Kostaltyn's secrets. I can't wait for everyone to hear him. So this organization is rather rich, as you can expect from most stereotypical base churches. Yeah, like I said before, I am getting loads of Spanish Inquisition vibes here. Hopefully that will translate to a lot of interesting mechanics. I don't know how this could work in all honesty. It's, like I said, very, very different to old school Kislev. There was no established church, so to speak. My curiosity has peaked, and hopefully we'll be learning more. We do know here that they've also stated at the end of the interview to watch out for chaos content and to keep an eye on more Kislev stuff. So more than likely they might start fleshing out the lore via more of these blog posts. I hope they do because, well, it's actually proving to be quite interesting. I believe we've learnt a lot today with regards to all this different type of lore. I can't wait to see what more comes out in the future, but what do you guys think so far? The Kislev changes to old school fantasy fans might be a bit too much, and I'm kinda on the whole halfway point here. I like some of the changes, but some of them just seem a bit too out of place for Kislev. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and let's start a bit of a discussion. But with that, my friends, we've come to the end of our video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, might I suggest giving the video a like, or even subscribing to the channel, as it really does help us out. In the description section below are various links to different social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and Discord. Also in the description section is an affiliate link with Element Games where you could buy loads of hobby-based products, not just Warhammer, for 10 to 25% off. Making a purchase using that link and also our special code, which is also in the description, supports the channel at no extra cost to you, which we think is rather cool. A big thank you to our patrons. Your support means the world to us. It's amazing that people want to help a small channel like us grow and get to a higher level of content. A big thank you to Gibraltar LUSC, Ryan Bertsche, Andrew Prince, and Okro for subscribing to us at our Fane level. You guys are super cool. And a big thank you to Edward Yule, VS Vasan, Aaron Whitman, and Shaggy for subscribing to us at our King level. Honestly, we can't thank you all enough. And lastly, a big thank you to all of you for liking, sharing, and commenting on these videos. Honestly, it's because of you guys that the channel has been growing at such a great pace lately, so we can't thank you all enough. But with that, my friends, thank you so much for watching once again, and we shall see you all again very, very soon. Have a good day.